Mark Edge, Libertarian National Convention. Thanks for watching. Tell you more about SALT, who sponsored this, in just a moment. But yeah, I got to see your speech here at the Libertarian National Convention. It was so exciting, and people really loved it. There were honking rubber chickens. There was everything for you.
Yeah.
And it's not something I've seen before. This idea that we should seal the records. You help me out. Seal the records of people who've been in trouble with the law.
Yeah. So in this country, as you may know, Mark, there's 70 to 100 million people who have an arrest or a conviction on their record.
Down.
Yeah. So I make it
That's
simple for people. 1 out of 3 Americans have a record or an arrest. And that's a lot of people.
Okay.
But in this country right now, the thing that keeps me up at night is that 30 million people are eligible to get their record cleared right now. But less than 10% of people do it.
They don't know how.
Some of them don't know how. It could be that it's bureaucratic. It's a lot of red tape that the government puts in front of people to just get their record sealed, even when they're eligible and they have remained crime-free. So we're automating the process so people don't have to go through that petition process or don't have to pay for a whole bunch of lawyers and fees. And especially, you know, if your offense was just being poor, you may not be able to ever get a lawyer, get your record cleared. So we're removing that burden. I like to tell people we're taking a burden from the person who made the mistake to the government who traps them in that mistake. Because essentially it's a lifetime sentence being defined by your record, and we're trying to change that. And right now we've created a path to over 18 million people on a pathway for partially sealed or fully sealed record clearance in 13 states and DC.
So you're taking existing laws.
Yes.
And you're automating them in such a way so that people, all they have to do is stay clean.
Yeah.
And that's what they have to do. Now, I can see on one hand, it would be a bad idea to have, say, somebody who robbed a bank working as a teller the day they get out of prison, right? I got that. That seems like a fair thing. Well, I don't think a bank should hire somebody like that necessarily on their first day out of prison. But I also don't think that somebody who had a conviction when they were 17 years old should have that conviction carried through the rest of their life to deny housing, deny jobs, deny all these things. And it can be very difficult for an employer. If you look at this from the standpoint of an employer, they might have 2 candidates that are equally as good. One of them has a record and one of them doesn't. So they pick the one who doesn't. And in the process, they may miss out on whatever benefits there are. It seems like at some point or another, you should get forgiven, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You know, I mean, what I tell people, you can have accountability and also make sure that we are redeeming people, letting people get back on their foot. But punishment should not be permanent. That is the issue right now. And it is like an invisible cage for the rest of your life. I've heard from people that their true sentence have not started until after they come home. People who have been incarcerated, they're able to, you know, when you're incarcerated, you get housing, you get a job, you have to work in the prison, you get fed, you get health care, you get the things. But yet when you get released, you're restricted from that in many places. Education, employment, housing, because most of those people do background checks to screen out applicants who have a record.
It's so easy to do a background check now.
Yeah.
And you said 90% of employers are checking backgrounds.
Yes.
I would think housing checks.
92% and then 72% of universities and colleges.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the things, though, Mark, that people can't see that's not as measurable. Engaging in your child's school or your grandbaby's kindergarten graduation, where you may be restricted by having to check a box that you have a record that's outdated, or the psychological, emotional toll that it could bring on somebody as well. So there's a lot of things that's not even measurable as well that impacts people. Not even that impacts our community, our families, because I tell people when someone goes to prison, they don't go to prison alone. Their family is doing that sentence with them.
Yeah. And
it's the same thing when people come home. Their family also suffers. Our community suffers. We have some studies that just came out that over $460 billion of lost wages for people who have an arrest or conviction. $1.2 billion a day. That is money that could go into our parks, our schools, our education, if you allow people to go back to work.
Right. It's taxable income, and not only can they take care of themselves and not receive some kind of government subsidy, but, you know, they would be creating value and presumably being taxed on it. Do you find anybody pushes back on what you say? I mean, I'm just curious. It seems like a reasonable position that you've got.
It's a common sense law. It's a common sense policy.
And you're having a lot of luck. You're state after state after state is saying, yeah, we want to do this.
Yeah, they want to do it. You know, there's ways. It's not a cookie cutter approach. Different states have different maybe obstacles and opportunities. You know, one state may be more technical feasible to do the automation. But there's not any organized opposition because listen, when you got 1 or 3 people who have a record, it's hitting close to home for everybody, whether you're elected official, whether you're a business. You have the business community has been really helpful in this because they also want to get good talent back to work as well.
Yeah, business community seems like the biggest hurdle with it all because so few of them will say when you go to these jobs websites, there's the second chance employer or whatever, they can check a box and say, hey, we'd be happy to talk to people who are recently out of prison or whatever the situation is. And for whatever reason, they don't choose to mark that box. And I would think the employers are probably the biggest obstacle, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, the business community is really starting to do a lot talking about this issue. I actually just traveled to the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with our partners, Responsible Business, RBIJ. I'm messing up the acronyms right now. But we went over there with a lot of workforce partners talking about the work that we're doing and got to meet with the Deputy Prime Minister who was like, how are y'all being successful doing record clearance over there? You know, how are you talking about it? So this is how we talk about it. But we have a lot of businesses that are coming. We got big bank institutions like JP Morgan, Indeed, different folks that have been supporting this work.
Yeah. Indeed is great.
Yeah, they are. And so I think, you know, we don't have the organized pushback. It is really the lack of knowledge for most people. I think the common person don't realize all the barriers that someone with a record face.
Sure, they don't.
Tell people, you need to pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Right, I'd love to.
Yeah, I was just talking to a young lady before I came on your show who pulled me over. It's like, I heard your speech. My brother's directly impacted and he wants to get pulled up, but he doesn't have the services.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the access to the things that he needs to do. So we have to fix that too.
And these are also laws that are on the books. All you're
already on the books
is making it automatic. And I think that is the first, most reasonable step.
Automating it for the folks who are eligible, for the folks who remain crime-free, for the folks where the law says we've already done the debate, and the debate was already done on who could get the record.
Right. Done.
Let's
make it work.
Let's take your credit for your listeners. Like,
yeah.
Everybody knows
it's automatic.
Automatic. After 7 years,
you pay your bills.
It drops off. Yeah.
And the same way with this is it's automatic, and it should be automatic. You shouldn't have to file some paperwork, some secret paperwork with a lawyer someplace, pay $1,000 to have that done. And, you know, then it goes through some process, takes weeks and weeks for it to go. I think it's absolutely true. Thoroughly support what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm wondering how people can get involved and how people can find out how they can get their records clear, anything.
Because, Mark, you know, what is so important is that we change the narrative, how people talk about people who have records, because, you know, media, sometimes news, like all the things, we have the guilty pleasure of like in crime stories, you know?
Sure.
But then it's a narrative that feeds with that.
What do you say then? Help me with the verbiage.
People first language, you know, a person with an arrest or conviction.
Okay.
A person with a felony conviction. Because they're not defined by that, you know? They know, like, that one mistake, you're not walking around saying, I'm the felon, you know? No, you're a person who had a felony conviction. But yes, what can they do?
Yeah.
One is have the conversation. And I want to applaud you. Thank you for bringing me on the show to talk about it, because it has been a lot of stigma, shame around this conversation. Sure. And people who never talk about it. I've met people who their spouses don't know that they have an arrest or conviction. I think we're lifting some of that stigma now that we have people that are in very prominent places that have convictions on their records. So I think what they could do is go to cleanslateinitiative.org. They can see if we pass Clean Slate in their state. They may be moving through implementation, meaning that their record could already be cleared or soon to. Also, if you're advocating on the Hill, we have a federal legislation called the Federal Clean Slate Act. Because on the federal level, unless you got money or access to a pardon, you have no way to like get your record cleared. So we're trying to create a mechanism. Senator Rand Paul is one of our champions on that issue, our co-sponsor. So they can also advocate on the Hill with us. Check out our website. Just get involved and talk about it. You know, I'm happy to go anywhere to talk about this issue.
How are you doing on a federal level with it? Because I would think that's the real victory, the federal legislation.
Yeah, we've been having good bipartisan support, but there's a lot of competing priorities happening right now in Congress and around the world. But laws to keep beating that drum beat and talking to people about it. And I'm hoping that it will start making the movement that it needs to make. But there's a lot of competing priorities. But as far as like getting people to believe in it and sign on to it, we've been having good success, making sure there's been a bipartisan bill with support.
Thank you very much for being on the show. One more time with the website.
Yeah, the cleanslateinitiative.org.
Cleanslateinitiative.org. All of this brought to you by Salt Lending. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.